Hello, how you doing, everybody? Again, this is your brother Kimbe. I'm gratefully and thankfully back again with another installment of our brand new series called Kimbe Reads. Kimbe Reads. Again, to remind you guys, this segment will be dedicated to chapter 1 of our selection. Our selection is Assata, an autobiography written by Assata Shakur. Thankfully, we also have a foreword by Angela Davis, as well as attorney Lennox X. Hines. This is chapter 1. We're going to get right to it. I'm going to give you guys a warning that with this particular text, the action begins right away. Starting from the first sentence of chapter 1, we're right into the scene. And I'm not going to speechify or over-explain things. I'm going to try to keep it fluid, have a nice rhythm and flow to our series here. This is the first installment. I'm excited. Hopefully you're excited, and we're going to begin our journey. There were lights and sirens. Zaid was dead. My mind knew that Zaid was dead. The air was like cold glass. Huge bubbles rose and burst. Each one felt like an explosion in my chest. My mouth tasted like blood and dirt. The car spun around me, and then something like sleep overtook me. In the background, I could hear what sounded like gunfire, but I was fading and dreaming. Suddenly, the door flew open, and I felt myself being dragged out onto the pavement. Pushed and punched, a foot upside my head, a kick in the stomach. Police were everywhere. One had a gun to my head. So as you can see, the action begins right away. There's obviously a confrontation. I believe this is the scene from May 2nd, 1973 that Assata is trying to recreate for us. You can see right away violence is involved. Police are involved. Confusion, chaos. We're going to continue, right? So I'm going to turn the page and I'm going to give you some details about the hospital scene. Assata gives us some details about how she felt, what's going on, what her senses are telling her as she's dragged to the hospital. The hospital is glaring white. Everybody I see is white. Everyone seems to be waiting. All at once, they are in motion. Blood pressure, pulse, needles, etc. Two detectives come in. I know they're detectives because they look like detectives. One of them has a face like a bulldog, with jaws hanging down the sides. They supervise the nurse as she cuts off my clothes. After a while, one of them dabs my fingertips with what looks like Q-tips. Later I found out that this is the neutron activation test to determine whether or not I have fired a weapon. Another one then tries to fingerprint me, but he has trouble because my hand is dead. So obviously, beginning of the story, Assata looks like she's not in good shape. Clearly she's injured. Clearly she's hurt. Clearly she's being bum rushed by local authorities. They're trying to get her fingerprints. They're using Q-tips to see if she has fired a weapon. You can see they are immediately trying to build a case on Assata Shakur. But again, not to over-explain, not to oversimplify, we're going to continue a little bit more and focus a little bit on the pressure and what type of environment Assata is in. Let's check it out. She can talk, one is saying. The doctor says she can talk. Where were you going? What is your name? Where were you coming from? Who was in the car with you? How many of you were there? I know she can hear me. I keep my eyes closed. One of them leans down real close to me. I feel his breath on my cheek and smell it. I know you can hear me, and I know you can talk. And if you don't hurry up and start talking, I'm going to bash your face in for you. So, here we go. We have our first threat of violence, our first threat of physical violence against Assata Shakur. Clearly she's injured. She's in the hospital. She's handcuffed to the bed. To paint the scene for you, to give you some of the setting, right? So she's in the hospital now after what happened on the New Jersey Turnpike. Authorities are jumping on her like white on rice. They're demanding some answers. They're asking her some questions. Whether she can answer them or not, we're going to have to find out. But they already threatened her with violence. You see right here, when one of the officers says, "I know you can hear me, and I know you can talk. And if you don't hurry up and start talking, I'm going to bash your face in for you." You know, that sounds like a promise. Sounds like a threat to me. But we're going to continue. Again, this is Assata Shakur. Assata, an autobiography by Assata Shakur. In her own words, the foreword is by Angela Davis, the revolutionary and attorney Lennox X. Hines. Sorry, not X. Let me enunciate. Lennox S. Hines. Again, you know, got to do it right. So we're going to continue. 2 minutes later, detectives are on me like white on rice. Boom. There you go. There go my reference. 2 minutes later, the detectives are on me like white on rice. They threaten and plead, reason, and offer me the world. They hurl question after question at me, acting crazier than before. One plays the nice cop who is trying to save me from the bad cop. If only I will cooperate. I am tired, and the act is even tireder. I can see exhaustion in their faces. The whole night is coming down on me. The whole night is coming down on me. Their voices begin to sound far away. I can't take it anymore. They can go to hell. I am going to sleep. This time I'm going out for real. So you see there's more pressure by the authorities. They're questioning Assata. They're questioning her fairly aggressively for somebody who's dealing with injury, who's dealing with trauma, who's dealing with just confusion, not understanding what's going on. I have yet to see so far in the first 7 pages of the book what they actually pulled her party over for. What was the reasoning behind the pullover? Clearly, it was a violence associated with the pullover. Clearly, the violence escalated quickly. Clearly, Assata is not, at least physically, in a good condition, and mentally, you know, that's left to somebody else to determine. But they're questioning her aggressively. The pressure is on. She's hurt, and I'm not sure she's receiving the medical attention that she deserves neither. Again, it's the first 7 pages. We're going to glance at page 8. We'll have something else highlighted, and we're going to wrap up this segment in about the next 2 to 3 minutes. They are more careful where and how they hit me now. I guess they don't want to leave any marks. One sticks his finger in my eyes. I don't know what he has on his fingertips, but whatever it is burns like hell. I think I'm going to be blind forever. He says he will keep doing it until I am completely blind. I close my eyes and hold them as tight as I can. He strikes me a few more times. Some of the stuff gets into my eyes anyway. Burning tears pour down my face, and my whole head is throbbing. I think he's going to keep on, but he begins to curse me, calling me all kind of nigger bitches. Finally, he and the others leave. I'm not even going to expound upon that. Clearly, there's physical abuse. These are violent questions. There's a substance on one of the officer's hands that keeps getting into her eyes. You see her say it in her own words. I think I'm going to be blind forever. This is abusive. I'm sure this is not following protocol. But again, I'm not here to speechify or be the moral compass. We're going to continue. I'm almost finished. I glanced on page 9, where we can find an unlikely ally. You know, thank God for allies in situations like these. On the 3rd or 4th day, most of my troubles come to an end. Well, not really, but the punch, bang, poke, and prod part of my troubles ended. A nurse with a German accent came to my aid. She was one of the morning nurses, very professional and exacting, to the point that she could be a pain in the neck. But she was a lifesaver. It was she who at first protested the tightness of the handcuff on my leg. My leg had begun to swell, and she had insisted they loosen it, and that the cuff be covered with gauze, of course. As soon as she was gone, they tightened it again, but the gauze helped somewhat. I could tell by the little things she said and did that she knew what was going on. One morning she came in as usual, and after she had finished her normal routine, she reached behind the bed, pulled at something, and then handed me an electric call button on a cord. Anytime you need me or need anything from the nurses, just press this button, she said. Don't be afraid to use it, she added, giving me a knowing look. So again, this is an unlikely ally. You have a nurse at this particular hospital with a German accent who seems to be at least looking out for Assata, who needs to be looked out for at this point, because she's at this point completely at the mercy of law enforcement, who we can see are not too interested in playing by the book or following the proper procedures and protocol. All right, so we're almost done. We're gonna keep it going. Almost finished. We're almost there. I have two more things I want to highlight in chapter 1, and then we can gracefully move on to chapter 2. For those who don't know, let me remind you briefly again that our selection and our text for this Kimbe series is Kimbe Reed series is Assata, an autobiography written by Assata Shakur, with a foreword by Angela Davis and Lennox S. Hines. Look, I got it right that time. All right. So let's look at some more allies. 2 black nurses were very kind to me when they 2 black nurses were very kind to me. When they were on duty, they would go out of their way to make sure I was all right. They made frequent trips to my room, for which I was especially grateful during those first days. If you need anything, just ring, they said knowingly. One night, one of the nurses came in and gave me 3 books I hadn't even thought about reading. When I read the book about black women, I felt the spirits of those sisters feeding me, making me stronger. Black women have been struggling and helping each other to survive the blows of life since the beginning of time. Wow, let me read that again. When I read the book about black women, I felt the spirits of those sisters feeding me, making me stronger. Black women have been struggling and helping each other to survive the blows of life since the beginning of time. What else? Do I have anything else I highlighted? Oh yeah, right here on page 17. Last thing, I promise. This gives us insight into her physical condition. I think that's why I highlighted it. It's literally the last page of chapter 1. Here we go. I had 3 bullet holes. There was a bullet in my chest. It's still there. An injured lung with fluid in it, a broken clavicle, and a paralyzed arm with undetermined damage to the nerves. I kept asking if I would be able to use my hand again. 1 or 2 doctors said flatly no. The others said maybe yes, maybe no. Anyway, I was going to live. So that's a summary of her injury so far. So let's take a look. She has 3 bullets in her. 1 is in her chest. She said 1 of her lungs have fluid in it. She has a broken clavicle, a paralyzed arm that they haven't even determined how bad it is. Oh, you guys, at the end of chapter 1, there's an excerpt from Assata, a very short, brief poem called Story. So I'm going to share a story with you, and we're going to wrap up the series. Hopefully, you guys have been able to follow along quite effortlessly. Story. You died. I cried and kept on getting up a little slower and a lot more deadly. Story by Assata Shakur. Again, I'm going to read it again just because it's so brief. Story. You died. I cried and kept on getting up a little slower and a lot more deadly. All right, thank you. This is Brother Kimbe. Thank you for spending some time with me. This has been chapter 1 of our Kimbe Reed series. The selection is Assata, an autobiography written by Assata Shakur, foreword by Angela Davis, and attorney Lennox S. Hines. Hopefully my goal is to convince you to eventually purchase this book. There's 21 chapters. Chapter 1 is down. We have 20 more to go. I try not to over-explain things. I try to be as objective as you are. And we're going to keep up this good work. And if you support, please like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to be here throughout the entire series with the blessings of the ancestors. Thank you for your time. Kimbe reads Assata Shakur, Assata, the Autobiography. We're trying to gain a appreciation for this woman, her testimony, her struggle, and her experiences, and how it relates to the Black experience today in America and all around the globe. Peace and blessings. One love. I'm out. Yeah.